Hello and welcome to Books of Blood. My name is John, and as you can see, I am not in my normal filming habitat. I am actually at work. It is almost 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm here till 7 o'clock in the morning. So to keep from being bored, to keep from falling asleep, because I can't fall asleep or I'll be fired, don't want to be fired, I decided I would go ahead and make a video. First thing I want to say is I apologize for the background noise. There is a computer terminal over here to my right, your left, and it's kind of noisy. I didn't realize how noisy it is. I will try to talk above it without being too loud. So what I'm going to be doing is my top 10 favorite horror short stories. And these are ones I thought long and hard about. And I know they are stories that they're definitely older stories. Are they my top 10 favorite horror stories of all time? Probably yes, since I did pick these particular stories. All right. So that being said, and I've got a little cheat sheet here, and as you can tell, it's kind of dark. But anyway, I got a little cheat sheet. So I'm going to try to read this thing the best I can in the dark, and give you a little bit of information about where they first appeared, and of course what they're about in case you haven't read them. All right, so there you go. So number one, and these are in no particular order. All right, there's no top. There's number one is not the number one. It's just number one, which really sounds ridiculous. It's like saying those aren't they're blueberries, but they're not blueberries. All right, anyway. So, that being said, first up from 1843, this first appeared in the Saturday Evening Post in September 9th, or August 9th of 1843, and this is The Black Cat by Edgar Allan Poe. And of course, I'm sure you know what this story is about. You had to read it in school. Even if you didn't, it's a great story, all right? Of course, the best way to put this is man has black cat, man loves black cat. Black cat pisses man off, man maims cat. Man kills his wife. Man tries to cover it up by walling her up inside the house. Black cat gets his revenge, and the man is, I believe, he is hanged, or he is set to be executed. All right? So, yeah, that is The Black Cat. I have loved this story ever since I read it. This is one of those stories that definitely was an introduction to horror for me. And that being said, that is the one thing about horror short stories. They are fantastic introductions to horror or of a particular author. If you want to read horror and you're like, well, I don't want to get into reading a novel, pick up a short story. And if you have a particular author, if they've written short stories, try reading the short stories first to give you an idea of whether you're going to like them as far as reading a novel is concerned. All right, so that's my choice for number one, or my number one pick. All right, and that is The Black Cat. All right, next up, number two. And this first appeared in a story collection in 1902 in England called The Lady of the Barge. And this is another one they had you read in school. And this is The Monkey's Paw by W.W. Jacobs. And this is one of those stories where it's kind of a moral or kind of a lesson about be careful what you wish for, or you might just get it. And also what's scarier, it's scarier the things you can't see more so than it is the things you can see. All right? Basically, it's about a monkey's paw, like it says, and it grants 3 wishes. And as a result of the wishes, a young man is killed, and the mother wants him back, and the father realizes that the way he's been killed, if he comes back, it's not going to be pretty. So, and that's what I'm going to leave it at. If you've never read The Monkey's Paw, please, by gosh, read The Monkey's Paw, okay? So there you go. That's my number 2 pick. Number 3, and this first appeared in... okay, well, let me back up on this one. Oh, good Lord, I'm getting tongue-tied. Sorry about that. All right, let's go ahead and do the story, the name of the story. It is Survivor Type by Stephen King. Now, this first appeared in Terrors, and this was edited by Charles L. Grant in 1982. but most of you know it as being from Stephen King's second short story collection, which was called Skeleton Crew, and that was in 1985. This is about a doctor who is stranded on a desert island, and what he does to survive is absolutely horrific. I'm not giving anything away in case you haven't read it, all right? So there you go. That is Survivor Type by Stephen King. That is my number 3 pick, yes. And this is actually my second time doing this video because I skipped over number 7. So I hope I don't do it this time either, or skip over another one. But right, there you go. All right, number 4, we have Night Crawlers. And this is was first appeared in Masks, and that is Masques in 1988. I don't know if that is in print, but what the story is about you got this diner. It's a little mom and pop diner, and you got the people in the diner, the cook, the waitress, some of the patrons. All right, so this guy comes in. He looks rough. He looks ragged, and he falls asleep. And when he falls asleep, what happens is he brings the horror of war to reality, and whoever is there with him gets caught up in it. And this was actually a Twilight Zone episode directed by William Friedkin whenever they did the new Twilight Zone back in the 1980s. And of course, William Friedkin is the director of The Exorcist. So there you go. That is Night Crawlers, and is by Robert R. McCammon. All right. Number 5. Number 5 is by Ray Garton, and this is called The Picture of Health. And this one first appeared in Hotter Blood, More Tales of Erotic Horror in 1991. And one way to put this story is to take, it's pretty much a retelling of The Picture of Dorian Gray set during the era of AIDS. All right, and when I say the era of AIDS, I mean the era in which was the most prominent. You know, because I know we still do have AIDS, but I don't know how many cases we have per year or whatever. But it's about this girl that she goes to this concert, she meets the lead singer, sleeps with him, and then she starts meeting or seeing all these different people, and all these different people are asking her questions like, have you been tested? Things like that, all right? And some of them are in wheelchairs, some of them have oxygen tanks over their faces, some of them have sores. So like I said, take The Picture of Dorian Gray, add the era of AIDS to it, and you may have a general idea what the story is about without me giving too much away. So that is The Picture of Health by Ray Garton. Next up, number 6, Night They Missed the Horror Show. I do not have an image for this, but it was but it was featured in 1988 in Silver Scream, edited by David J. Shaw. And this is by Joe R. Lansdale, if I haven't said that already. Trigger warning, there's a lot of racism in this story, or the elements of racism. In fact, one of the characters makes a very definite racist comment about a black character in the story. But it's about these 3 boys. I believe 2 of them are white, 1 of them is black. They're supposed to go to the movies, but somehow or another they don't. And they get caught up, or they stumble upon the set of a snuff film. And you can just imagine how that works out for them. So yeah, that is Night They Missed the Horror Show by Joe R. Lansdale. I love Lansdale's books. If you've never read the Hap and Leonard books, try read those. The Drive-In, The Night Runners. Yeah, he's just an awesome writer. All right. Number 7, I got it right this time. A Sound of Thunder. And this is by Ray Bradbury. And this first appeared in Collier's in June 28th of 1952. And then it appeared in his short story collection, The Golden Apples of the Sun, in 1953. And this is basically about you start off with a utopian society, and what they do is they have this thing where they offer tours or expeditions where you can go back in time, or I guess maybe forward in time, I'm not sure, and you can kill the animal of your choice. But everything is done to where it doesn't interfere with the timeline, all right? But then something does happen to interfere with the timeline, and things change. I have always loved this story. I've read it several times over the years, and I never get tired of it. All right, so that is Ray Bradbury's A Sound of Thunder. Number 8, The Fly. And this first appeared, and is by George Longfellow. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. It first appeared in Playboy in June of 1957. And of course you can see the image of the Playboy popping up. One thing I'm glad about is that it didn't have a risque picture on the front of it. I just like those two little dice right there, I believe they are. Of course you know what The Fly is about. It's about a guy or a scientist that experiments with batter transmission. Things go horribly wrong and he is changed, forever changed. This of course was made into a movie in 1958 with Al Hedison, and then into one in 1986, a masterpiece of a movie by David Cronenberg with Jeff Goldblum. So there you go. That is The Fly from 1957. What do we have next? Number 9. We're getting down to the last two. Number 9, this is from Harlan Ellison, and this is I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. And this first appeared in If, Worlds of Science Fiction in March of 1967, and then also in his own short story collection. All right? This is about a supercomputer, and it has basically taken over the world. It has killed everybody except a small group of people, and it tortures these people to no end. And some of the things it does are absolutely horrific. I believe one of the things it does is it makes this guy that is super smart. It basically turns him into a Neanderthal. Another one, I believe it makes him kind of like a sex maniac with an enormously large penis. And didn't you just love the way I said enormously? Enormously! Okay, there we go. But yeah, it just does things, and it's just because it absolutely hates. And there's a segment in the book where it tells you exactly how much it hates. I wish I had copied that down to read it to you, but good God, it's terrifying, man. All right, last but not least. Now this is one, and another one I don't have an image for the particular book. But there used to be this book. I don't know if you can still buy it or not. If you can, I would suggest buying it. But it was a book called Wolf's Complete Book of Terror. And one of the stories in it was a story in it by Anthony Boucher. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. It was a pen name for a fella. I don't remember. I don't know the pen. I don't know the real name. Sorry about that. He wrote under a couple of pen names. But anyway, I don't know his real name. Anyway, the story was called They Bite. And like I said, I've only read this one time, and I almost never want to read it again. Because, let me give you an example about this. It is about this town, a small western town, and there are these creatures in the town. And these creatures are not quite human, but they're not quite something else. And you just kind of catch them out of the corner of your eye. And it's just a creepy freaking story, all right? You know how like when you're sitting somewhere, you might be reading the paper, reading a book or something, and just out of the corner of your eye, you think you see something and you turn, you think, oh, it's just a cat, and then you realize you don't have a cat. But you still turn. So yeah, and that is it. That is They Bite. Okay? So I'm going to pause this for just 1 second. Okay, I am back. Anyway, that is my top 10 favorite horror short stories of all time. No particular order, all right? And I would love to, when you comment on this video, it's going to post on Monday, I believe, maybe Sunday. I'm not sure, but it will post at about 2:30, either Sunday or Monday. And Yeah, I would really love to hear what some of your favorite horror short stories are. Whether they're new stories or whether they are older stories, I'd love to hear from you. So, that being said, the weekend has begun. You guys have fun, but whatever you do, stay safe, and I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.